Well, if you listen to the morning news, I am pretty sure that on any given day you will be hearing that there has been a murder. Pretty good chance that there's going to be a report. Now, if it's not on one day, just go over a spread of a few days. There's going to be at least one murder. If you listen to those reports, it will feel as though murder is rampant. Better not go out, because every place you go, there's going to be murder. But what is reality? Sociologists have cobbled together the various sorts of data available and have determined, as best as they can, that 4/100ths of a percent of Americans, 4/100ths of 1% of Americans will commit murder in their lifetime. This is like 20 people out of 15,000. 1,600 people out of 4 million. They say our region has around 4 million. So about 1,600 of that 4 million will commit murder in their lifetime. So, conversely, that means 99.96% of people will not commit murder. That's pretty cool, isn't it? That's kind of exciting. There's pretty much a chance that none of us are going to commit murder, statistically. So, we hear the commandment, not murdering, bring it on. Check. I think we can check that box, right? But, did you hear what Jesus said? It's part of the Sermon on the Mount, a continuation of his teaching. Did you hear what he said? Jesus just blew up the check the box idea. Jesus exposed for us the depth of the law. Jesus exposed the heart of the issue. Biblical scholar Tom Long said in his commentary on the gospel that Jesus' words, Jesus is going deeper. It's as if Jesus says, here is what the law says, and I'm going to go to the heart of the law for you to show you how the children of the kingdom of heaven live out its deepest meaning. Jesus takes us deeper. Jesus speaks to our hearts about our hearts. The issuance of the law was not to check off boxes, but rather to shape the heart, to shape us as God's beloved. When God created humanity, all of creation lived in perfect harmony. Every bit of it was working together beautifully. Each and every part coexisted at peace. But the inclination of the heart shifted with temptation. Oh, you will not die. You'll become like God. Becoming like God shifts the mind and the heart. And that shift usurps the power of God. We put ourselves in the position of judge and jury. Jesus this morning pierces that reality. Jesus pierces to the heart of the law and to our hearts. The issue is not that 4/100ths of 1% will commit murder according to state and federal law. The issue is the hatred, the anger, the bitterness that swells the heart toward actions. And though many of us, hopefully all of us, have never physically murdered someone, how many times have we violated the intent of the law through our thoughts, words, and deeds? Jesus' teaching this morning is not to condemn us, but rather to help shift our hearts and minds, to consider how we live our everyday lives together. Not just the facade of what we put up for others to see. We've all got our pretty facades. But how we're operating in our inner being, in our inner thoughts. Those thoughts which flow then into actions. The challenge we face in all of this is that we so easily justify our actions. I had the right to be angry. I had the right to hate that person for what they did to me. I can look down upon my sister because of what she said. We would rather argue and fuss than step back and leave space for grace. I suspect that you've heard the term that you have won the battle but you lost the war. It refers to times we puff ourselves up so strongly that we're right, that we're more concerned with being right than about the relationship we can share with others. That our judgment is so right that it's more important than the relationship of how we get along together. Our inner heart and our outer actions get in the way of the relationships that we've been formed for. God created us to be in relationship with God and to all that God has made, all of the people, irrelevant of their shapes, sizes, and the facades that they put up. That's the truth. God shaped us for community, relationship. Yet how willing are we in our heart of hearts to lop some people off? You notice that Jesus' concern is not about how others are treating you. He never refers to that in this text. He says, and yeah, when they treat you like, no, it's about how you're treating them. His concern is about our hearts and how we're living. What is our inner motivation that's leading us? So following Jesus, adhering to Jesus' words and ways, we are positioned to live in community, valuing each other, treasuring the gift of God in each other, seeking the best in each other. Such a community is welcoming and loving, not judging, not condemning, not pretentious. Such a community welcomes in the broken and the imperfect, the talented and the insecure. Such a community does not put up barriers to belonging, but opens its arms to welcome all people. Jesus is teaching to shape our hearts. As we follow Jesus' ministry, we see him hanging on a cross. He didn't deserve this, yet he hung there dying for you and me. Jesus was humiliated, scourged, hurt, and murdered by humanity for humanity's sake. On the cross, jeered by onlookers, Jesus promised the guilty thief, "Today you will be with me in paradise." Jesus shows us the law fulfilled. He shows us the open heart of God's love. And he's calling you and me into that today and every day, to examine our hearts and to seek more and more to follow where he leads. The church is formed by God and called to be that community for the world. The world needs this kind of radical grace and love. The world's brokenness is healed when it hears the good news of God's grace in Jesus. But how often do we fail? How often is the church seen as judgmental or condemning? Jesus' words this morning aren't for the folks out there. Jesus' word this morning is for us in here. For us to hear and respond to with how we live our lives. Jesus is leading us to the heart of the law, to the heart of God's love. Let us follow. How will your heart be shaped this week by Jesus? Amen.